true attractiveness of Tokyo is high standard.
The true attractiveness of Tokyo is smart.
Talent.
Tradition.
我想是这个词叫做城市文明。
Attractiveness of Tokyo, I think it's authentic.
Inspiration.
Builders community.
I think about trust.
Discovery. The best thing about Tokyo that I've always loved is just wandering the streets.
Time machine.
So my word would be culture.
Why Japan is attractive? Because it's fair.
Tokyo is vibrant.
The true charm of Tokyo is its people.
So what I think of when it comes to Tokyo is pursuit.
Trustfulness. You can trust Tokyo.
Enlightenment.
I chose the word access.
My word for the trip is opportunity.
The true attractiveness of Tokyo is definitely the people.
I think is professionalism.
The true attractiveness of Tokyo is green.
私、中村和太郎の思う東京の真の魅力は混じるです。僕が思う東京はこの文字です。
Comfortability. The true attractiveness of Tokyo is hospitality. おもてなし。
The true attractiveness of Tokyo is fusion.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us on the final day of Unleash Tokyo. Our first session is Collaboration and Innovation with Startups in Asia, presented by Chief Investment Manager of Sony Innovation Fund, Gen Tsuchikawa.
Okay, let's begin this session. And my name is Gen Tsuchikawa. I run CBC activity at Sony. I want to thank all the organizers of Unleash Tokyo for giving us the opportunity to attend this event. And I also want to thank all the attendants for taking time to attend this session. So let's go to the next slide and let me just quickly explain who I am. I run all corporate venture investing activities at Sony, and we have teams throughout the world, and so I am the global head, managing all the operations from Tokyo. Before this position, I've run mergers and acquisitions for Sony globally, and before that, I ran investor relationships for Sony globally. Sony is a very exciting company, and it's been a wild ride for me at Sony. So let me quickly touch on Sony Corporation. I mean, I think many of you know about Sony, but Sony's businesses range from gaming, electronics, semiconductors, pictures, music, and finance. We are in many, many businesses headed by Kenichiro Yoshida, our CEO, and Totoki-san, our CFO. We are very excited about the recent launch of the PS5 and all the experiences that it's going to be bringing. We're also very excited by our Vision S, our concept car, which we're not a large OEM of a automobile manufacturer, but we'd like to introduce many new car experiences to this industry. We're also working with JAXA, the governmental space agency, in terms of entertainment experiences using space as the information source. So now let me flip to discussions about our corporate venture capital activity, Sony Innovation Fund. We started Sony Innovation Fund in 2016, so we've been at this for roughly 4.5 years. We have 3 funds. Our base fund is called Sony Innovation Fund, which we use Sony's balance sheet and which makes early stage investments in many startup companies. In terms of the larger investments in more of the mid-sized companies, we have a GPLP fund called Innovation Growth Ventures. And through that fund, we make investments in that area. Last September, we introduced Sony Innovation Fund Environment, the first impact fund by Sony, and probably the first, as far as we know, the first impact fund by a Japanese company, Japanese corporation, sorry. Throughout the 4.5 years, we've invested in roughly 80 companies. And I won't go through each of the companies, but you can find the details of each of the companies when you go to sonyinnovationfund.com. We have teams globally. We have teams in both sides of the United States. We have teams in Europe. We have teams in Israel. And we have teams in India. We work very closely among all the teams. In terms of the investment focus areas, we started with AI and robotics, but we quickly found out that how, more than the technology itself, how the technology is being used to solve various problems around the world was more important and interesting. And that's why our investment areas naturally spread out. And it's important that these areas are also areas that Sony has somewhat of knowledge on, and that we can also discuss with many of the engineers and businessmen in Sony to really understand all the areas. So as I mentioned a few slides ago, we introduced Sony Innovation Fund Environment last September. Our first project is called the Cynical Culture Project, which is an internal project spin-off. So the easy way to explain it, in my words, is that if you just plant tomatoes, the soil actually gets weaker. But if you plant like 40 different types of plants and vegetables in the very well thought out way, actually the soil gets stronger, because that's what the earth was made of. We've made deserts in a pilot project in deserts in Burkina Faso, Africa, from deserts to money-making farmland. And we like to really try to proliferate all these type of activities that we're working on. As you can see by our entry into the environmental fund area, SDG is very important to Sony. And naturally, the companies we invest in are all trying to make the world a better place. And that naturally comes very close to the SDG theories. Diversity is on top of our agenda. The first investment we made with a company called Defined Crowd, which is listed here, is with a female CEO. There's more than 3 companies which we are investing in Japan which have female CEOs. Thanks to recognition by the industry, we won number 11 in the Global Corporate Venturing Powerless ranking. Global Corporate Venturing is an association of all global CVCs globally. And there is a ranking that's published every year, and we were fortunate to win the number 11 position. So, not just investing, working with our startups, helping our startups grow is obviously a very important part of Sony Innovation Fund. These are some of the cases where we use the products that the startups make, where we use the technology that startups makes. On the flip side, where we try to help the customers, help the startup in terms of providing them with technology or IP type of framework, and also PR. So naturally, for companies outside of Japan, Sony is the gateway to Japan and Tokyo, of course. And for companies in Japan, Sony is the gateway to the world. And we help the companies in many, many different ways. And we basically make sure that we're not pushing these agendas, but rather we really listen very carefully to what the startups want and try to build a case and try to find out the way to support them from there. So we're in an environment where we can only have digital conferences. So this is something of the past. But it's 2 years ago that we were actually be able to do our first Global Corporate Venturing Asia Congress in Tokyo. We were supposed to do the second one last year, which got suspended by COVID, and which we'd really love to do a physical conference towards the end of this year, if that opportunities become realistic. This is a picture when many Stanford MBA students visited us and talked to more of the innovation teams at Sony. We also foster many types of engagements, and this may be one of the reasons for all my friends looking at this video to come to Tokyo. So with that, I'd like to close the presentation. Thanks again to InvestTokyo for letting us participate in their program. And before we go, I'd like to show you a short video of all the activities that we are doing, which sort of shows all the activities we're doing in the corporate venturing investing space. Thank you very much for your time, and look forward to seeing you in the future.
Up next, we have Diversity in Tokyo, New Values. This panel includes Maria Lee, Chief Operating Officer of Tech in Asia, and Mariko Nishimura, CEO and pollinator of Heartcatch Inc. Moderating this panel is KrAsia partner Robyn Tan.
Hi everyone, thank you for taking time to join us at the Unleash Tokyo event. I'm Robyn Tan, Managing Director at KrAsia, and I'm very honored to have with me two female leaders on the panel today. Joining the discussion around the topic of diversity in Tokyo, we have Maria Lee, COO of Tech in Asia, as well as Mariko Nishimura, CEO and co-founder of Hardcatch. Hi, ladies.
Hi there.
Hello.
Hello, thanks for joining us. So before we start the panel and questions, maybe we could start with a quick round of introductions. Shall we start with Maria?
Hey, I'm Maria. I am the COO of Tech in Asia. For those of y'all who don't know, Tech in Asia is a digital media platform where we try to cover all things startup and tech that's happening within Asia.
Thank you. And then next we have Mariko.
Hello, my name is Mariko. I am a co-founder of Hardcatch. Hardcatch is a Tokyo-based company and producing the new innovation with big company and also the startup and sometimes creators, artists. And I call myself producer as well as a pollinator. Pollinator means a cross-pollination between the large company, startup, artist, whole the society. And I want to make a beautiful flower in this society.
Thank you. Okay, so I want to ask, both of you, what do you think would be the appeal for overseas entrepreneurs? And Maria being non-Japanese, I think we share pretty similar perspectives. And then I will come back to Mariko to ask about, what's your perspective as a native Japanese. So first to Maria, from your point of view, what do you think is the appeal of Tokyo to foreign entrepreneurs?
I think the appeals of Tokyo are many. I think for foreign entrepreneurs, there are a few things that you would look at. One is actually the incredible talent that tech talent in particular in my world that Japan offers, right? So Japan has like a very long history of engineering. And originally that was more on the hardware engineering side. And I think over time you've seen that evolved into software engineering. And so there's just like this incredible lockup of just great, amazing world-class talent that entrepreneurs always want to tap into. So that's like on the internal company side. I think on the external side, just Japanese consumers have really set themselves apart as honestly quite avant-garde, innovative, futuristic, forward-looking. And so it ends up being kind of like a global market leader in terms of overall trends and adaptation of new tech. And so I think that's also pretty appealing. And then lastly, it's obviously just an amazing place to go and visit and do your business. And so I think that's always like on a personal side, a great thing for any foreign entrepreneur to want to tap into.
Same here. I think one thing for sure, I think Tokyo has this lasting attraction and appeal. Like I would go to Tokyo in a heartbeat.
Okay, thank you.
Anyway, Mariko-san, so as a native Japanese female entrepreneurs, what interesting areas or charms of Tokyo do you want foreign entrepreneurs to know about?
Okay, so as Maria mentioned, of course, we have a large historical company and they have a lot of good engineers. But a bad point is that such a big company, large companies are a little bit closed before. But right now, the Japanese large companies are open to collaborate with startups. I'm a member of Japanese Cabinet Office's Japan Open Innovation Prize since 2019. And I saw that the number of collaboration between large company and the startups are increasing. And those collaborations are very attractive. So that means Japanese very historical company is now, they have a lot of good engineer and also they are start to open collaborate with the startups. That is a good attractive point for the entrepreneur, not only for Japanese entrepreneur and also the all over the world. And besides, after the pandemic, corporate executive used to communicate with online tools such as Zoom, this kind of Zoom or Microsoft Teams. Before that, the Japanese busy manner of business is we should start business, exchange the business card and borrowing, or sometimes just say hello for that. Like, how can I say? We will say we should treat the executive very well. But right now, this kind of the online tool makes us equal. So the executive and the startup is very equal to the online platform. And the those executives are used to this kind of equal platform. that means this is very good to challenge for those executives to appeal startups presentation, or sometimes they want to show the new product, and this kind of the how can I say, boundary is a little bit less and less before the pandemic. Yeah.
This is very interesting. I didn't know about the trend of, the equalization of, the status and positions. Looking forward to that change. I think this has been I don't know if Maria agrees with me. I think this is kind of like a distance between like startups and some of the corporates in Japan. At least, I don't think it's intentional, but at least I think there is an existing like cultural barrier that we need to cross every time as a startup. So, I mean, both of you ladies have very successful careers. What are some of the technological trends and shifts do you both observe that could appeal to more working women? Let's start with Maria.
Sure. So I think actually picking up on what Mariko was mentioning, I think that, as we've all shifted to remote working, this is actually going to be a little bit better, hopefully, for working women in the long run. I mean, I think women, the classic anecdote people like to tell is that women don't like to take a seat at the table. They're always kind of sitting around the edge of a conference room because they're intimidated and they don't know if they belong at the table. A great thing about online meetings and online collaborations is that there is no table, which actually means that like perhaps some of those like internal fears or doubts or whether or not you belong, some of those like factors that previously used to weigh on us in like a physical in-person environment can start to subside a little bit. And then we can also start to focus, less on processes and regulation and hierarchy and much more based on outcome. The shift to remote working has also supported like asynchronous collaboration, right? So it's no longer about, are you in the room, are you at the table, and are you speaking the loudest? It's a lot more about, like when it comes to actually making the deliverable and like no matter what time of day it's at, delivering the actual outcome. And so I'm hoping that over the long run, working women can be much more judged based on, the output that they're producing, the value that they're producing, as opposed to, I think, some of these more like symbolic gestures of hard work and, and success.
Thank you. Totally agree with that. Especially like the point about there is no table for us to sit around. I didn't even realize this until you said it. So thank you. So Mariko, what do you think are some of the technological trends and shifts that you observe that could appeal to more working women?
All right. So in addition to the Maria mentioned, like Zoom or online platform has no table. And I saw the very unique campus, unique meeting in the VR space. Virtual reality. Yeah. In Japan, we have a startup called Cinnamon, SYMMON. Cinnamon has a VR meeting space. And I once used a VR meeting space, Cinnamon, and there is a lot of men, women, and executive new startup or younger generation. But everybody wearing the avatar. So they are totally equal to, and they don't have to care about who is the older, elder one or who is the younger one or any gender. They just want to, mention about what they believe or what they think about right now. So it is very good to, reduce, boundary to using the avatar. Everybody is equal. And it is just happening. So it is not the majority. But I think this kind of the online and the digital technology can reduce, diversity problem. And this is good for the women and also the, younger challenger, I think.
Avatar. Very interesting. We should check it out.
Yeah.
I think one of my friends also shared with me, right, that, being remote working now, which is unlike what Japan culture was like the previous time, a lot of working moms now can actually work from home and take care of their children. And then this actually strikes a very good balance between family and work. So I think this, to me, also is a very exciting trend and shift that I'm observing. So I definitely hope that there will be more women.
Yeah, and the very interesting thing is not only for the women, and the father is taking care of the babies. So I work with some male fathers working. I have working with the some fathers, and they treat with their babies, and this is very good to see that father taking care of the children in front of the Zoom. So it is good situation working from home is mother and the father is equally taking care of the their children.
That's a great point. Thank you so much, Mariko.
Yeah.
So Mariko, you have your own business in Japan. I wanted to hear more about your experience starting Hot Catch in Tokyo.
All right. So I start my career for the working for the IBM as an engineer, but after that I moved to the Adobe system. Those company, are global company, but sometimes I feel I want to pay tax for my country. Of course, working for the global company is very exciting, but I am a Japanese and I want to contribute to more to my country more and more. So I start Hot Catch 2014, and what I'm doing is, as I mentioned, I'm working as a pollinator to connecting the new things. Because why I started this company is before that I feel some boundaries between big company or like even the between the organization, they have some walls and just the side of, I can say side to working their business. And I think it is not good to make a new and very exciting society. So I myself want to change and break the wall into connecting the things. So that is why I start my company. So thanks to my good relationship connecting people, I can make a very working with the government and also the artists, and of course working with not only for the Japan and global companies. So I think this kind of connecting company or this kind of the position will be the necessary from now more and more.
Thank you. How was the experience like setting up the business? Were people open to working with you, or was it difficult, stuff like that?
Right. So as I mentioned before, I have a big brand name, IBM, Adobe. It is very easy to work with person, but I started my company. It is Hot Catch. Nobody knows it, so it's of course difficult. But I enjoy that. I can create by my brand. So it's a difficult time, but I also enjoy that.
That's great. That's great. I think this is part of the joy of being an entrepreneur. It's difficult, but you enjoy it, right? Anyway, over to Maria. What would make expanding into Tokyo or Japan more attractive to you?
Yeah, sure. So Tech in Asia, actually, we did previously work in Japan, and we used to host an annual startup conference in Tokyo. And so we love Tokyo and we love Japan. But I think the reason actually, we kind of pulled back from the market, it was actually mostly an issue of like interest and then a bit of language, right? So we're more interested in coming down into Southeast Asia. And so like the Japanese startup, the internal startup and tech scene is actually quite thriving. But one thing that we felt like we could bring was to kind of do the cross-cultural, cross-regional bridge and connection. And so, and then the other thing is on our digital media side, we're an English focused platform. And so I think language ended up being a barrier as well. So for us, it's not about entering Tokyo in and of itself, but it's more about how can we bridge the Japanese tech and startup scene with the rest of Asia's tech and startup scene. We view ourselves as that, kind of that critical player and want to be in that role. And then I think separately for any entrepreneur, on the other hand, picking up on the language thread is actually a bit of like the cultural translation. As I'm American, and the first time you land in Japan and Tokyo, there's a lot of business etiquette that like a foreigner may or may not necessarily know. And so you try your best, of course, but at the same time, you make missteps along the way. And I think a little bit of, I guess, like compromise on both parties' part for the foreigner to figure out how to navigate the local Japanese business culture, but then also I think for the local Japanese business culture to be a little bit more open and forgiving, and quite frankly transparent about how they want things to be done in a way that makes them comfortable, right? And I think that is the foundation for any like decent business relationship, and especially when an entrepreneur is trying to enter the Japanese business culture.
Thank you. So Mariko, to Maria's point, what kind of advice do you have for overseas entrepreneurs who are looking to expand into Tokyo? And specifically also, how can we understand, bridge the cultural translation problem?
Yeah, that is a problem about the language barrier. But good point is that thanks to this kind of cross-cultural seminar is happening more and more. Like online is very easy to collaborate together. So lots of Japanese company, of course, the executive, also the in-house engineer is very interested into working with English speaking very good talent. So that is good mood. And also, I think that Tokyo is like Maria before mentioned the food. Robyn also mentioned the food, and food is delicious and also the safe and secure. So it is very easy to live and work here. You don't have to care about very scary thing. And also, I think it is good point that like Maria mentioned before, the engineer is very good, and also the salary is not expensive as like Silicon Valley or India or other country. I think excellent engineers, and they are very affordable to work with. So this is if you want to challenge and here and working with the working with Japanese engineer, it is our side is welcome. So I want you, the global entrepreneur, to challenge and enjoy this kind of cross-cultural things and start new business here.
Thank you. I have one more question to Mariko. Like, when startups like us want to approach some of the corporates or executives, there are certain things that we don't know, like in terms of, whether I need to speak very politely or am I, being too aggressive? What kind of advice do you have? Like, should we, is there a book? Is there a textbook? How can we learn?
Oh, I don't think, you don't need any, book kind of thing. If just work professionally and act equality, it is important. You don't have to follow the, Japanese executives. They should learn from you. So I think you're proud of yourself and just be professional is my advice.
Thank you so much. I have one last question. And then, because it's International Women's Day, so there are many of us around the world celebrating women. But at the same time, I think it's also important for us to remember our male allies. So to both of you, for fellow women and male allies, what is one thing that we can all do to push for more diversity? Let's start with Maria.
I think that the fundamental truth is you have to acknowledge that change is really hard, and also change is the choice, right? And so we can't all be perfect all the time, which means you're not going to be the perfect ally every single day. But I do think that making that internal shift within yourself, which is choosing to become an ally, which means that like you are much more likely to speak up when you see something wrong. You're much more likely to even just be aware that something might be wrong and give you the opportunity to create action off of that. I think that initial first choice is one of the most important steps you can take, because I think once you make that choice, actually the rest kind of follows quite naturally. And this is really important, honestly, for both women and men. Is to not shy away from making that choice and feeling emboldened to do so and empowered to do so.
Thank you. That's a good point. Mariko?
Yeah, so I think it is important for me to take care of the younger female entrepreneur or female working person, because I need to support them. Then if they are very hesitant to speak out, I need to follow and support. this kind of the, how can I say, matured person should take care of the younger generation is very important. And also, as I mentioned, just work professionally and act to equality myself. If I work very, professionally and act to equality, then somebody or a lot of people watching this, and this is very important by myself should be equal and professional.
Thank you. We are out of time, but I really want to just thank both ladies, Maria and Mariko, for taking time to join us on the panel. I thoroughly enjoyed myself and also learned a lot from both your perspectives. So in the meantime, stay safe, and I hope that we can meet in person sometime soon.
Yeah. Drink beer in Japan. Yeah.
I wish.
All right. That's a deal. All right. All right. See you both. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
If you would like to know more about business in Tokyo and have any questions, please contact Access to Tokyo members near your location. Access to Tokyo is one of the InvestTokyo initiatives of Tokyo Metropolitan Government for promoting Tokyo as the world's leading business city. Access to Tokyo is located in Singapore, San Francisco, Paris, and London. Try typing in Access to Tokyo in InvestTokyo's website's FAQ chatbot for contact information. The InvestTokyo website now has a chatbot available to improve your InvestTokyo experience. The chatbot offers 24/7 support and quick answers to your questions regarding Tokyo's support programs, business programs, and more. Try typing in Why Tokyo to start the conversation. Thank you for watching the Unleash Tokyo online event. Please give us your feedback of the event from the survey link in the description box. There is a free download of Tokyo's latest market and trend report available at the end of the survey. We look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for your honest feedback. Up next is Current Status of Startup Investment by Major Japanese Financial Institutions, presented by President and CEO of MUFG Innovation Partners, Nobutake Suzuki.
Hello everyone, I'm Nobutake Suzuki, the President and CEO of MUFG Innovation Partners. MUFG Innovation Partners, or MIP, is a corporate venture capital arm of MUFG. Today, I'd like to talk about MUFG's open innovation strategy with foreign startups. MUFG is the largest banking group in Japan. We have deployed to a major 50 countries, and we have more than 300 years history. And one of our advantages over other Japanese banks is our global coverage. We have two important global markets. One is the US, where we have a Union Bank as a wholly owned subsidiary. Union Bank is a California-based top-tier regional bank. Also, we own 24% of Morgan Stanley, and we have a joint venture with Morgan Stanley in Japan. The other important market is Southeast Asia, where we have 4 subsidiary and affiliate banks in Thailand, Indonesia, Vietnam, and Philippines. So in terms of collaboration with the fintech startups, we can work together not only in Japan, but also in many other countries, and you can leverage our global networks through such partnerships. MUIP was launched in 2019 with a $185 million CVC fund. Our target is a global fintech and other related startups which have a strong business synergies with MUFG. We are headquartered in Tokyo, and we have teams in New York, Palo Alto, and Singapore. Our mission is not only investments, but also being a hub for open innovation strategy for entire MUFG Group. We actively meet with the startups from all over the world, connect them with the relevant divisions in the bank, facilitate collaborations between the bank and the startups, and eventually create business synergies. MUFG has track record of investment in and partnerships with the fintech, AI, and other startups. Initially, MUFG Bank had invested in fintech and AI startups for strategic objectives since 2016. The bank's initial investment was Coinbase, the largest crypto exchange in the States. The bank also invested in various startups in the US, Japan, and other regions. MUIP has succeeded such MUFG's commitments since its launch in 2019, and the CVC fund has invested in 18 startups in the past 2 years. MUFG and MUIP's portfolio include top-tier global fintech startups like Coinbase, Symphony, Chainalysis, Figure, Fundbox, Beam in the US, Grab, Invest3, KrAsia in Southeast Asia, and Free, Payday, Money3, AB Cash in Japan. Also, MUFG is one of the most innovative banks in Japan, and we are very much committed to open innovations. I'd like to pick up 3 case studies. The first one is Grab. MUFG and MUIP jointly invested over $700 million in Grab, and MUFG has become a first-choice bank for Grab. MUFG and its subsidiary banks in Southeast Asia have worked with the Grab to develop new financial services for Grab's drivers, merchants, and users based on Grab's proprietary transaction data and AI technologies. Let's say in Thailand, our subsidiary bank has started providing loans for Grab drivers. The local bank couldn't provide loans to such drivers in the past due to a lack of credit histories. But now we can access to Grab's data sets, include how much each driver earns every day and how safely each driver drives. Based on such data, the bank now can provide loans with appropriate conditions. Also, MUFG is planning to utilize Grab's AI technologies in Japan and other regions. Next is our partnership with InvestTokyo. The company is a top-tier peer-to-peer lending platform in Indonesia, focusing on SMEs. MUIP invested in the company in 2020, and Bank Danamon, a subsidiary by MUFG in Indonesia, has worked with the company. The bank has joined the platform as a lender to access a new market. Also, the bank has worked with InvestTokyo to develop new financial products for InvestTokyo. The last one is liquidity capital. The company is based in Israel, and it has advanced underwriting technologies focusing on high-growth startups with subscription business models. The company has AI and machine learning technologies to assess creditworthiness of borrowers based on various KPIs like customer acquisition cost, average revenue per unit, churn rate, and so on. With such analysis, the company can predict future cash flow of borrowers. Generally speaking, traditional banks rely on reviewing past financial statement, but the company more relies on real-time information like daily transactions over bank accounts, billing information, and other raw data captured from borrowers via API connections. MUIP invested in the company in 2019, and MUFG and the company have launched a joint venture, Mars Growth Capital, in Singapore, with $80 million debt fund to focus on pre-unicorn startups in Asia, which need growth capital. The joint venture has been actively meeting with the startups across Asia and executed loans to 2 startups this year. As I explained, MUFG has so many track records of collaborations with foreign startups in various regions. And we are very much keen to support foreign startups Japan entry. MUFG has hosted the incubation program, MUFG Digital Accelerator, for 5 years. We have accepted the foreign startups which hope to work with MUFG and launch businesses in Japan. In the last batch, Moxtra, a video communication platform startup from US, joined the program and explored various collaborations with MUFG's relevant divisions and eventually won second prize. Now, the company officially has partnered with MUFG. Lastly, I'd like to comment about how attractive Tokyo is for foreign startups. Japan's economy is still the third largest in the world, and Tokyo is the center of economy, politics, and culture. On the other hand, we have less competitive market for startups since our startup ecosystem is on the way to be developed. So why don't you come to Tokyo? And we are looking forward to working with the fintech startups from all over the world. Thank you.
Our next session is Why Global Companies Do Business in Tokyo, What Makes It Attractive, and How to Succeed, presented by Founder and Chief Business Development Officer of Zyco, Joshua Berry, and James Miller, Head of Public Policy at Amazon Web Services Japan.
Hi, I'm James Miller, Head of Public Policy at Amazon Web Services Japan. I'm excited to talk to you about 4 things about Tokyo that make it a great place for startups to put roots down. The first is Japan's global scope. Japan remains a key market for international business. It's the world's 3rd largest economy and the 2nd largest computer and telecommunications market in the world. The Tokyo Stock Exchange has 3,700 companies listed with a combined market cap of more than $6.67 trillion. And Japan has seen a rise in startups over the past several years, and funding identified by the Japan External Trade Organization marks it rising from 2009 up to $604 billion compared to 192 some years before in 2015. So that scale of the Japanese economy differentiates it from other jurisdictions and fundamentally means businesses have access to one of the most sophisticated and domestic markets in the world, while at the same time bringing a global perspective to many of the levers that are critical for entrepreneurial success. The Japanese market is characterized by consumers with high levels of disposable income who demand premium, high-end goods and services. And there's no shortage of global trends that started in Tokyo from that culture. Tokyo also has a global outlook. So that global trend-setting consumer space is reflected in Japanese companies and the Tokyo government global outlook as well. For critical digital policy issues that can affect a startup success, Japan actively collaborates and helps lead key standards and policies. Cross-border data can be critical to the success of a startup that might begin in one jurisdiction and expand to serve customers across Asia and the globe. Japan presented the concept of data free flow with trust at the G20 Osaka Summit and expressed its determination to promote international rulemaking on trade-related aspects of electronic commerce through the World Trade Organization. Japan is actively involved in global partnerships and frameworks that relate to digital policy, such as the Comprehensive Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, the Asia-Pacific Cooperation Cross-Border Privacy Rules, and others. What this means for entrepreneurs considering where to put roots down is Japan is participating in many bilateral and multilateral dialogues on policies that can be key to a technology startup success, like IoT and 5G. So Japan's digital policies are in many ways aligned with global standards, and a startup based in Tokyo can leverage that global perspective to serve markets in the US and the EU, all across Asia and in regions that offer startup opportunities to serve new customers. Japan right now is focused on digital transformation across the government and here in Tokyo. And startups can leverage those efforts to accelerate DX in the public and private sectors to take advantage of new opportunities to help fill those needs. Japan has world-class infrastructure. Japan's highly developed modern infrastructure of roads and railroads, subways, some 20 ports and 5 international airports, and sophisticated distribution and warehouses offer unparalleled ability to move people and goods in predictable and economical ways. Japan's digital infrastructure, which is of keen importance to any startup, is also attractive for startups, with both deep deployment and adoption of wireless and wired technologies in the internet space that leads the world in many respects. Most importantly, Tokyo has community. You can't have a startup alone, and Tokyo is home to a community of technical and non-technical entrepreneurs and partners that focus on supporting startups' ability to build and innovate. AWS Japan, the American Chamber of Commerce in Japan, and other partners are part of that community and help startups join their voices in efforts that can help solve problems that may be in front of you today and on other strategic concerns that might not be seen today, but that's because folks are focused on guiding and raising those concerns that are relevant to startup success, not only in Japan, but across jurisdictions in Asia and beyond. Here at AWS Japan, we're excited to support startups, and our community is every day finding ways to help do that. For AWS Activate, we offer up to $100,000 of free credits to use in AWS products. You can also receive business and developer support with AWS experts. And during the COVID-19 pandemic, closure of the AWS Loft here extends until June 30th. But builders with an AWS account can also use the AWS Loft app to play with our tools, to talk to experts, to attend the technical startup events held on almost a daily basis. And after the Loft reopens, we look forward to builders again showing up without an appointment and using that space to work and take advantage of those same tools. So for these and many other reasons, with Japan's focus on digital transformation, now's the time for startups and entrepreneurs across the globe to look at Tokyo again and really consider these 4 key benefits. We look forward to working with you and building together. Thank you. Now I'm excited to actually talk to someone who's been doing startups in Tokyo for more than 20 years. Let me introduce my good friend, Josh Berry, co-founder of Zyko. Now, Josh, not everybody knows you as well as I do, and I know they'd be excited to hear a little bit about your experiences having run a lot of startups, started them, seen them through different stages, and seen really the transformation and changes of Tokyo as a startup center over the years. Could you tell us a little bit about your experience and maybe some thoughts and trends that you see over that period?
Absolutely, James. As you said, I've been doing startups for over 20 years in Tokyo, which is a long time. There's a very large startup community in Tokyo specifically, and this community is mostly IT, I would say, but I've been involved with AI companies, food and beverage, education, advertising, and now my current live streaming business. And over the 20 years, I can say that the infrastructure in Tokyo for startups has grown enormously, both for helping startups build their businesses and banking, and also for bringing in people either locally or overseas to help expand businesses.
That's really exciting to hear, Josh. And I wonder if you could talk a little bit more on that infrastructure point. You know, we hear that, of course, funding is a really important sort of facet of startup growth, that there's been improvements in that space, especially in maybe the last 5-10 years or so. How do you see that space having changed? Maybe what the changes in that sort of infrastructure that you see for startups?
Absolutely. 20 years ago, startups, both Japanese and foreign, were very much bootstrapped. You had to...
Could you explain a little bit what that means for folks that might not be familiar with bootstrapping?
Okay, bootstrapping is when you pay for everything yourself. Either it's friends or family, your credit card, whatever money you have on the side. My first business that I started, I was working full-time, building out the place that we rented for my new business that I was starting myself, doing all the construction, everything that we're building, weekend by weekend until we hit critical mass that I could quit the job that I had before and start my own business. That's the bootstrapping. Your next stage from bootstrapping at that time was to go to banks and say, hey, I have a business, would you give me a loan? In Japan, we're all very lucky to have very low interest loans, so that's not a bad way to go. It wasn't really possible in those days to speak with an investor because investors were investing in late stage businesses. And late stage means, if you've heard of the seed round, A round, B round, C round, D round, it's usually C or D when your company's large and scaled enough where it was an investment that didn't really require a lot of thought. This is businesses that's already going to succeed. What I've seen over the past 5 years is a complete flip on that, in that there's a lot of early stage investment. There's a lot of interest in early stage startups, pre-seed, seed, angel investors, VC companies, both from large businesses and also private funds looking for new things to happen. So what that means is that people can take a chance. They can go to startup events, they can go to startup accelerators and try their business out, try to raise enough funds to get off the ground and then scale. And scale is really what every startup needs to do in order to become successful. And that's where working with you has been very important for my business.
Well, there's a lot of really exciting positive trends, I think, in what you're sharing there. Naturally, 2020 was a very difficult year for everyone in so many ways. But I expect that there were a lot of challenges that startups, experienced, maybe in ways that are a little novel from others. Can you talk a little bit about your experience, maybe from some of the businesses that you've been working on? What was the experience last year, and what are some things that you maybe saw as strengths in the Tokyo sort of community that you were talking about?
Okay, I'll give two examples. One is an online business, which is the one that I run, Zyko, and then I'll give you an offline business for a business that I invest in. The online business, my company Zyko, was a white label ticketing company where our go-to-market strategy was direct to fan, where artists and labels could sell tickets under their own brand. And we were successful. We raised a seed round in 2019. We're going great until COVID hit. All events are stopped. But because we're a technology company, we took 5 days and built a streaming system, which then an artist that we were working with, a Japanese artist named Sero, had a new album come out in 2019, but it was canceled because of a typhoon. They were going to, in March, do the event again. It was canceled because of COVID. Right. And we spoke to them and said, hey, guys, what if you do a streaming event? And they said, we'll try it, we'll do anything, we want to do something for our fans. So we built the streaming platform. They thought they would sell 500 tickets, we sold 6,000. And from that point, we started to build out our technology on someone else's platform, which is something that you do when you want to build something quickly. But it's not a scalable model. And very soon after that, we were doing streams for 100,000 people for the biggest artists in Japan, 200,000 people. And that's when we needed AWS to come in and help us start from this and grow it into a scalable business that we can go across the world, because we got more investment and we were told, hey, you need to now be in Indonesia, you need to now be in China, you need to now be in America, you need to be in Europe. And what does that mean? We need to work with you guys so that our own IP that we're creating on the back of AWS allows us to scale in different places and still keep the quality that our customers expect.
That's a really exciting story. So if I understand it correctly, 5 days, you're prototyping a system, got some stuff in place, and then said, we need to scale, and we're able to find a partner in Tokyo that you could work with, and we're able then to expand to hundreds of thousands. So I'm assuming this is a 10x, 100x, multiple jurisdictions across Asia. How do you think that that plays out as sort of something particular to Tokyo? Why is it that you were able to do that here? What are things about that market that are particularly helpful?
That's a great question. We haven't seen the same sort of thought process from the artist and management side globally as we did very early on in Japan. There was an early adoption of our fans want us, our fans need us, our fans are willing to support us, so this is what we can do now because we can't go to see live events. And because we did that early on in COVID, it became part of the ecosystem of music. And people buy tickets. We've done over 5,000 events and returned over 50 million USD to artists in 10 months. And that is because early on, people accepted what this was. And we need to grow that sort of concept around the world. And Japan and Tokyo really are the world leaders in this right now. And it's very exciting to be part of that. When I talk to other businesses like us abroad, they're just in awe that this has happened in Japan. So it really is the world leader right now.
So it echoes a little bit about the sort of global scope of Japan's market. Domestically, it's sophisticated. Customers here set trends that are global. And in some ways, it's the right kind of environment to grow that kind of an experience and then bring it to other markets. That sounds like the story of Zyko.
That's absolutely true. Because of the infrastructure of Japan, as Tokyo, working with, for example, AWS, where we can replicate what we're doing in markets that are also represented by AWS, for example. But it only would have worked in a place where everything was set up and the people are here, we could hire the right people, we could find the right resources, ask the right questions to the people that were here. There's no way, I mean, in my old businesses, when I first started in Japan, we had servers in our office. You know, this is not an uncommon thing in those days. They're loud, you could expand as far as that server would allow you. But because of the cloud computing now, we were allowed to grow as a small startup with 15 people to now 75 people in 10 months, basically because of these services that are here and the infrastructure that allows us to do that.
So that, I think, you know, sort of echoes another thought around the community that you need in place. You need folks that are able to help you grow, to give you the right sorts of advice, and to have folks around that you can work together with. A lot of problems are collaborative. So it sounds like that community piece was really important. What about sort of the non-technical, you know, folks? You know, you look at Japan and there's so much about being in Tokyo that's exciting and fun. It has nothing to do with tech. And I know you were mentioning some of your experience with COVID with non-technical sort of startup entrepreneurship. What were some of the things that you experienced last year, or just generally around sort of being in a space that isn't necessarily doing stuff in Python or API meetups?
Okay. I'm also an investor in a food and beverage company, which is a Chicago pizza and craft beer business with 4 restaurants and a brewery in Tokyo. Food and beverage was devastated. And one of the interesting initiatives that the Japanese government did for businesses like this was that they allowed takeout of alcohol. They sped through the process of licensing for that, which gave another revenue stream for businesses that were suffering because they had to shut down. And that was lifeblood that really helped a lot of places make it through, even to this day, that they're allowed to do things like that. So there is some real creative thinking around trying to help people in spaces that physically they can't go anymore. And I think everybody's very appreciative of that. Another one, my first company that I started is in education. I started the first foreign Ranjuku and international school, and international school as well. And the transition of in-class learning to getting people and students and things to work from home was a big, digital transformation in and of itself. And it was hard to get people and families and kids to recognize that they could do this. It's not the solution for the end. Everybody wants to go back and do it the way it was before. So some industries should go back, but there's always the option. I heard there will never be another snow day for kids, which is, maybe terrible, but there's always an option to learn online. And I think that is something that has changed Japan for the better as well, for people that can work from home, that they can have a different work-life balance. And I think that in itself, that work-life balance is going to attract more talent to Japan. And so in some ways, COVID has been the catalyst that will change Japan into a place that's even more attractive.
So I think that's probably, I guess, where we are today with vaccines rolling out and maybe some light at the end of the tunnel for controlling the pandemic more strategically. It sounds like there's a lot of pent-up excitement that's percolating in Tokyo right now. Any thoughts around sort of Japan's digital future? What do you think are things that might be of interest for startups today? It looks to me like there's an opportunity right now.
I think from what I'm seeing, there's a lot of government money out there, to be honest, especially in certain areas. AI, for one, fintech, robotics, and by robotics, it could be LiDAR, self-driving cars, things like that. And strangely enough, not government-run, but Japan and Tokyo in particular, now Fukuoka, is kind of the center of blockchain, cryptocurrency. So there are people and opportunities around a lot of different areas that will be exciting, and of course, tourism. I mean, we can't forget that Japan tourism boom before COVID was almost unbelievable. So there's pent-up opportunity for how does the digital transformation help tourism in smaller locations around Japan? I'm excited to see how that happens. If a small local countryside town can put an online presence and make something interesting out of what they have to attract more money, attract more business, there's huge opportunity there, I think, going forward.
Every time I talk to you, Josh, I get fired up, and your experiences and excitement always are part of that community that we love about Tokyo. Thanks again for your time today, and we look forward to continuing that journey together.
Thank you very much, James. I do want to say that my current business could never have been successful without AWS, and a lot of that goes to you, and thank you very much.
Thanks.
If you would like to know more about business in Tokyo and have any questions, please contact Access to Tokyo members near your location. Access to Tokyo is one of the InvestTokyo initiatives of Tokyo Metropolitan Government for promoting Tokyo as the world's leading business city. Access to Tokyo is located in Singapore, San Francisco, Paris, and London. Try typing in Access to Tokyo in InvestTokyo's website's FAQ chatbot for contact information. The InvestTokyo website now has a chatbot available to improve your InvestTokyo experience. The chatbot offers 24/7 support and quick answers to your questions regarding Tokyo's support programs, business programs, and more. Try typing in "Why Tokyo" to start the conversation. Thank you for watching the Unleash Tokyo online event. Please give us your feedback of the event from the survey link in the description box. There is a free download of Tokyo's latest market and trend report available at the end of the survey. We look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for your honest feedback. Next up is Shibuya 5G Entertainment Project, turning Shibuya into a creative and cultural city with 5G, presented by Shinko Osada, Director of the Board and Vice Secretary General of Future Design Shibuya, and Ichiro Miura, Innovation Director at KDDI Corporation.
Hello everyone, my name is Ichiro Miura from KDDI. Today I want to talk about the Shibuya 5G Entertainment Project and Virtual Shibuya with Shinko Osada.
Hello everyone, 皆さんこんにちは。My name is Shinko Osada. I'm working for the Future Design Shibuya. So we actually established the Shibuya 5G Entertainment, and I think let us talk about the project and also the exciting platform called Virtual Shibuya. So Ichiro-san,
Sure.
So maybe you can talk about your company and yourself first.
Okay, please let me introduce my company, KDDI. KDDI is the mobile phone and telecommunication company who has the mobile phone brand called AU. I have the introduction video that I wanted to show you. Please take a look.
未来は誰が作るのだろう。未来はどこから始まるのだろう。きっとそれはどこかで知らない誰かが作っているものじゃない。向こうからやってくるのを待っているようなものでもない。未来とは今を生きる私たち一人一人の中にこそあるのだ。だから KDDI は世界中の人々をつなぐ。アイデアをビジネスを最短距離でつなぐ。点と点のように散らばった可能性をつなぐ。境界を越え常識を超え昨日までの限界を超えて出会いはインスピレーションを生み創造の起点となっていく。私たちがつなげるものはまだまだあるはずだ。通信とライフデザインを融合させることによってこの世界の成長を持続的で力強いものにしていこう。その先にある未来がどんなものかは今は誰にもわからない。でもわからないものこそ面白い。情熱を共有し互いに頼れるパートナーがいればどんな困難もエキサイティングなチャレンジになる。共に進もう。共にこの変化を楽しもう。誰かが作る未来じゃなくてみんなで作る未来の方がワクワクする。 KDDI はそう信じます。
So let's go fly away into the sky, shining us so far away. We can make it fly away.
さあ一緒に面白い方の未来へ。Tomorrow together. KDDI.
So let me introduce our organization. And Future Design Shibuya is established in 2018. And our organization is focusing on expanding the potentiality of the Shibuya city. So as you may know, and Shibuya is one of the most diverse advanced cities in the world. And most of the people who are watching this the seminar probably know the Shibuya CLOSING. And our organization is established to make an open innovation together with companies, creators, artists. And we are the quite interesting organizations, which we have like the people from the Shibuya City office and also the other independent people and also from the companies. So we are aiming to make the collaborative project through the partnership and to make exciting idea for the future of the metropolis possible. So one of the project we are going to introduce today is the project we partner with KDDI and other companies. So I have also the video which introduces our organization, so please watch, and then we are going to talk about the project.
産官学が交わってアイデアを考えていくっていうのはなかなかなかったんじゃないかな。スピード感を持ってイノベーションが起きる可能性があるんじゃないかってことで、住民のニーズを一番汲み取って、またトレンドの先端を行くようなですね、そういったことにチャレンジしていくっていうことが必要だと思ってるし、そのための原動力としてこの渋谷未来デザインっていう存在に期待してます。
例えば 5G みたいな話ってものすごいサービスを生むことができると思うんですね。さまざまなコンテンツを生み出すっていうつなぎ役として渋谷未来デザインが関わるべきだと思っております。
渋谷に関わる人みんながアイデアを出して実験がどんどんやれて、いい実験は加速していくし、ダメだったら反省して、次の形に変えるっていう、そういう街になっていけばいいなっていうイメージがあります。
企業がさまざまな技術であるとか、リソースを持っていてですね、それを渋谷未来デザインがうまくコーディネートすることで、渋谷のお住まいの方であるとか渋谷で働いている皆さんに役立つような意味のあるものに変換するような装置としての役割を果たすっていうのが求められている役割じゃないかなというふうに思っています。
いろんな人がいろんな好奇心を持ち寄って渋谷の今ができていて、これは未来にかけても変わるべきではないんじゃないかなと思ってるんですよね。なんでいろんな人の好奇心を集めたいし、街の中にインストールしていきたいなっていうふうに思っています。
渋谷っていうのが元気にならないと東京が元気にならない。ですから渋谷から発信して日本の良さ、東京の良さを全世界に発信するっていうのが我々の大きなミッション。
違いを力に変える街、一歩進んだ街、
アイデアが形になる街、
エンゲージメントが高まる街、
好奇心が集まる街、
発信力のある街。
渋谷の未来のための5つのデザイン事業が始まります。渋谷の可能性から世界の未来を作るイノベーションハブ、一般社団法人渋谷未来デザイン。
So, we actually start working together since 2019.
Yeah.
And we actually made a project and kind of the consortium, and then evolved in the 2020 because we have over 60 companies participating as of January 2021. Original aim to reveal the potentiality of Shibuya City using entertainment, culture, and technology as partners.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the current situation?
The current situation, I'm of course pretty happy for this situation. I'm not talking about the COVID-19, but I'm really happy that we have this organization. And also, we as KDDI have to promote 5G and also great feature of the 5G together with Shibuya. So we are working in progress also how we're gonna promote 5G together with Shibuya. So by working with the such a big consortium with Shibuya, so we have a few projects happening, and the iconic project, I should say, the iconic one is Virtual Shibuya.
Yes. So Virtual Shibuya is example of our project, right?
That was actually the first project that we launched. That was last year, April, as far as I know. Yeah.
So maybe let us actually talk about the Virtual Shibuya now. And the background to actually build the Virtual Shibuya is, of course, the COVID-19.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. And the last year, we've been working for the project together, but we are really excited, the Olympic, right?
Yeah.
Last year. But suddenly the COVID-19 hit to the nationwide, but also the Shibuya had a lot of the impact due to the no inbound customer building, and also a lot of the like shops and restaurants, and also even the business person are impacted. So maybe we have a pictures right now.
Yeah, I will show you the picture later on. And how we launched the virtual Shibuya, there's a little bit like background stories. KDDI was planning to promote 5G together with Netflix by using, in collaboration with the Ghost in the Shell in Shibuya. And as you know, Shibuya has such a lot of people, especially like Shibuya CLOSING. That was
right?
actually a program for in Shibuya City. So we quite like to solve this problem in order to spread the people like all the other nice area in Shibuya by working with the Netflix or Ghost in the Shell, the great IP. So we have been planning like few events, many spots in Shibuya to generate traffic to go anywhere, like many places from like Shibuya, not only Shibuya CLOSING, but also the other places. Then COVID-19 hit in Japan, so we have to either cancel whole project or we have to plan alternative idea. So that was the last March 2020. As far as then, at the time also we are working with Shibuya. So Netflix, KDDI, Shibuya working as one team. So then we came up. We had a big discussion what we're gonna do. Either, like I said, we cancel it or replanning it. So then Shibuya helped us a lot. So also they came up with a great idea, which was virtual Shibuya. That was the kind of like reason or how we started launched the virtual Shibuya. Am I right?
Yes. So we actually our original aim to continue our culture from the Shibuya. So that I think as Miura-san said, and we came up with the idea to launch the virtual Shibuya, and then finally it was launched in May 2020. So maybe we can show the video to the audience.
Yeah.
So Miura-san, so we had a lot of activities last year using the virtual Shibuya. And I think I'm so much actually remembering the virtual Halloween. So we can now show the pictures, but also you can add how, they're interesting, but also how difficult, our activities are.
Talking about Halloween, so as maybe Halloween in Shibuya, it's sort of like chaos in a way. Lots of things happening mainly in the Shibuya crossing area. And then this year, actually last year, 2020, we have COVID-19. So Shibuya city doesn't want anyone to come to Shibuya crossing to
during the Halloween
season. So in order to solve this problem, we came up with an idea to organize Halloween festival in virtual Shibuya. So then together with Shibuya City, we announced, don't go to real Shibuya at the Halloween week, go to virtual. So that message came from the, of course, our company, but also together with Shibuya City and also Mayor.
So original theme of the virtual Halloween is still virtual. And as Miura-san mentioned, and we are asked to use or leverage the virtual Shibuya as much as possible because, a lot of them, the people coming to the Shibuya crossing, since last year and even last 3 years. But then this year, how we can, protect the city from the, crowded audience. So finally, the over 400,000 people visited virtual Halloween, and then not only just launching the virtual Halloween festival, but then we also experienced a lot of the consumer behaviors, and also how we can continue using this kind of a second city and collaborating with the real Shibuya. So this is one of the big, the asset I think we had from this virtual Halloween, I think. But then maybe Miura-san, you can a little bit explain about what we did during the virtual Halloween.
So what we did together with Shibuya City, Osada-san, as private company KDDI, of course, we have to promote 5G itself or virtual Shibuya. But at the same time, Shibuya has a problem, like I said, especially Halloween. So to combine with the Shibuya problem and then our promotional strategy, that makes quite a big, huge message, even through the mass media a lot. So in the end, during the Halloween week, so many less people came to Shibuya in the end. That is our contribution to Shibuya, and also Shibuya support us to promote virtual Halloween event. So I want to show you a little bit what we did on the virtual Shibuya Halloween. We've got a Japanese pop singer and also comedy show, rock band, VTuber, Netflix cinema. Quite a lot of contents happened during this period, from almost a week. And we've got, as Osada-san said, we've got over 400,000 people came to virtual Shibuya. So that was a kind of example, or not example, that was the things what we did as iconic event in the virtual Shibuya.
So I think what we achieved is to create a new experience value through this virtual Shibuya activity. I think probably this is the first time the city and also second city collaborating and leveraging together and even complementing together.
I guess, everything is first time, to be honest.
Yes, everything first time.
KDDI is quite a big company, 50,000 people working for the company, and then Shibuya is a big, iconic city in Tokyo, in Japan. And first time, kind of a big collaboration happened in the virtual Shibuya, which was, we haven't done virtual event, to be honest, but this was our first time trial or challenge, but we kind of did it. What do you think how we did it? What were the key things what we could did this idea of a project?
I think we didn't stop the activities. A lot of the companies, organization probably postpone the activities and things. And then I think what we really discussed, and then we continue to proceed activities, and especially using technologies. And this VR or maybe AR or XR is the one of the technology I think probably contribute the new normal life. That's I think. And also what I can say is how we collaborate together and your giant organization, but then also the city itself is normally it is the very difficult matching working together, but then we actually collaborated every day. We talked about and we actually discussed the improving, and also what I'm really interested in, we became one team.
Right, the point, I guess. Yeah. So in order to be one team, that's not the aim to be, but I think we share the object and the goals and all that. So of course there is a risk to do anything for the first time things, but Shibuya always Osada-san has always like a courage to make everything move on and move on and move on. So I feel like I kind of have to follow her, otherwise, we miss a chance. So we don't want to miss a chance. We always want to challenge. Even like working for, the KDDI, as I said, is a big company. We have like startup mind in the KDDI. So that makes us allowed to follow in such a quick decision or create a new idea or challenging the new technology, and so on and so on. So I think we have started last year virtual Shibuya. Now, in a way, we can't stop it anymore. We only have to move on.
Yeah. I think today we are for the city promotion, right? Tokyo. So I was also interested in a lot of the global visitors visited the virtual Shibuya during the first event and also the Halloween, and then we also did the Christmas campaign, right? At the virtual Shibuya. So not only local people visiting, but also this is the way how we can promote the city to the global audiences.
Yeah, that might be the next step. Probably this year, we're gonna have to promote or generate traffic from all over the world. That is our quite a big mission to do it. Not only virtual Shibuya, but also we are trying to create another business or challenging together with startup or not only Japanese company, but also any. To be honest, I don't really, in a way, care. I don't really care. I want to work with everyone. That is the open platform spirit in a way. So, in order to make it bigger, the virtual Shibuya, we do have to work with lots of different ideas people. So we might work with not only Shibuya, but also other places as well. It could be nice to work with, let's say, London, New York, anywhere in the world as well. So those who are watching this conversation, if you have an idea, Shibuya City and KDD are totally open to hear or discuss your new idea.
Especially we are actually using the startup companies' technologies like virtual Shibuya called cluster. So a lot of the probably startup technologies probably can integrate into the new the platform and the solution. And the Shibuya city is also interested in inviting the startup to the city. So this could be the one of opportunities. Not only this virtual Shibuya and Shibuya 5G, but also the opportunity are more expanding.
I think to work with the startup is one of the key things to make, especially technology categories, I guess. Shibuya is a Shibuya. It's Shibuya has the people living in Shibuya, the people visiting Shibuya. KD is a telecommunication company, mainly doing the mobile phone. So it's kind of like a giant company. So sometimes it's a little bit difficult to move quickly. So that case, to work with startup is quite an important segment to do it. I think Shibuya is also have same, not the problem, I mean the issue in this Shibuya organization is
Governmental
Government,
organization. Yes, we are half government, half not government organization. So that's why we became a hub to connect the corporation to the government and probably NPO or maybe citizens. So since 2018, we are now becoming a little bit, the how to say, we are proceeding. And I think one of the achievement we had since last 3 years, I think this is the maybe biggest achievement we had last year. So what we're gonna do, I think innovation for new normal from Shibuya is one of the biggest challenge. And then what I say, the creating new value for the city and also the consumer experience using the technologies. So I had 3 points. So first, and how we can contribute to the Shibuya culture. Culture is the biggest asset Shibuya has. We don't have any, how to say, like the big souvenir.
Yeah, like a
such
Statue of
as,
Liberty, right.
The potato or such as rice or these kind of things. But we have a big culture.
Yeah.
And the second one is how we can leverage this kind of virtual Shibuya or technology to gathering communities. And then third one is the POC for both real and virtual city, virtual Shibuya. So what do you think about 3 key activities from now on?
Of course, these 3 key points is the most important topics that we have to work on. First one was the Shibuya culture. I mean, even like COVID-19 happened, Shibuya culture never died. That's the spirit what we should have. Right? We can talk about a little bit like crowdfunding, I guess.
Virtual life?
Yes.
So, we have music culture, we have fashion culture, or we have probably the other like startup and this, a lot of culture. But then I think very soon we are going to launch the virtual live, which can really promote the musicians and the artists to perform at the virtual Shibuya, and then anybody can join to listen and interact. This could be the one of the
Yeah, of course. I mean, like, let me add a few comments. Of course, under this COVID-19, lots of musicians or artists cannot perform in front of the huge, many audience in the club or music places. So we have, like we've been telling you, we have virtual Shibuya where artists can perform. So this also contribute Shibuya City also, but also support young upcoming or any kind of artist. So this is the project what Shibuya is going to support.
Probably it's not only music, but and in the future maybe fashion and art and creative stuff, right?
Supporting the culture in the virtual Shibuya. That was the first one. Right?
So what about the communities? Currently we have more event-driven platform, like especially the virtual Shibuya. But then probably city itself is living platform. All the time we have people are communicating things. So I think the second thing is we'd like to really seek the opportunity to make more community building stuff.
This is also the second important things that we have to work on. New future, we would like to make a community organically, people gathering to virtual Shibuya from all over the world, not only like Shibuya lovers, but also everyone. So this is like pretty much challenging things we are, of course, we haven't done, there's no like such an example before. So, but we have to target or aim to make a big platform to communicate people in this virtual Shibuya, not just to create a community, but also the platform for the communication. So this is for the after COVID-19's new era that we are talking about, targeting about.
Yeah, especially like currently no like inbound customer visiting Japan, Tokyo, maybe Shibuya. So this could be the one of the opportunity to open the Shibuya city virtually, but then anybody from the world can come and enjoy and communicate.
Yeah, I mean, I think personally, what could be interesting is Shibuya is, actually we are in Shibuya, so we can visit in Shibuya anyway. But for instance, we cannot go to London now. So it could be interesting to have the virtual London, for instance.
To connect Shibuya to London or maybe Paris.
That could be an idea.
That could be an idea.
London, New York,
probably.
Paris. Yeah.
You don't have to fly.
Well, I wish I could. But I mean, I'd like to create a new community platform together with Shibuya. That's the second mission.
And then the third one is, the proof of concept, ongoing the POC for both real and virtual Shibuya. We are talking about the virtual Shibuya, but then we have a real Shibuya. So how we can connect the real and the virtual together?
We are not really targeting create only virtual Shibuya. I mean, it's more like a closed space. We are not we are not really targeting to that. We always want to contribute the real Shibuya itself. For instance, we can make an e-commerce in the virtual Shibuya to, real Shibuya as well. That e-commerce on the community platform. Anyhow, we do have to contribute real Shibuya. Otherwise, it just becomes like closed space in the end. So that was the worst scenario that I can think of. So always virtual Shibuya have to connect with the real Shibuya. So we have a few ideas, but probably it's going to take a year to connect virtual and real. But we always keep in mind that's the most important strategy that we always think of.
So some of the example we made the slide, but it's not only this, the occasions, but then we are also looking for the idea and then implement together. The closing, we talked about our project, Shibuya 5G Entertainment Project. And then we talked about virtual Shibuya. And then we talked about what we are going to from now on. And Miura-san, you have some comment or maybe some messages to the people or on the closing?
I think the most important part of the project for the future is it's not only because of the COVID-19 things, but also we as a Japanese have to be more open-minded, and we also should communicate different culture background. So those kind of things is quite important. But once again, we are totally open to communicate or work with or collaborate with. So this is like KDDI and Shibuya is one of the example. We moved on quite quick, and then we made a decision really quick, and in the end we kind of did it. So we still have to move on to the next, but so from my point of view, the decision making and open-minded, these are the quite important things for the Japanese people and the Japanese company. But it's, on the other hand, it's a great chance to work with internationally from now on.
I fully agree with Miura-san. And especially our team is really diversified. So this could be the one of the key for the success to make it happen. And as I mentioned, and I'm also from Tokyo, And then I'm working for the Shibuya. So, and I'm really working for, the expanding the potentiality of Shibuya City, but also Tokyo and Japan. So, if I think and a lot of the people who are listening are interested in working together or coming to like Tokyo or Shibuya, then please actually contact like the organization or us. And lastly, we discussed about the project and also the virtual Shibuya. But this is one of the example, and we continue to collaborate and create a new idea, and so that the most important things is that we really implement stuff and then improving together. So this could be the key topic, and especially how we integrate technology and startup. This could be the things we are really interested in, challenging things. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And
we're looking forward to working with you guys.
As Unleash Tokyo comes to a close, our final segment is Unleash the True Attractiveness of Tokyo, presented by Senior Director of Tokyo Metropolitan Government, Masafumi Yonazu.
Hello everyone, I'm Masafumi Yonazu from the Tokyo Metropolitan Government. Thank you very much for participating in this event. For the past 3 days, we have invited around 13 prominent speakers from Japan and overseas to unleash Tokyo's true attractiveness from various perspectives. I would like to thank them all for their kind cooperation. Since 2011, we have been actively engaged in attracting and inviting foreign companies for expanding their businesses to Tokyo. This is our 11th year this year, and we have launched this project to deliver the true attractiveness of Tokyo, not only through Tokyo's perspective, but also from the view of Japanese and foreign companies in Tokyo and overseas influencers and media who love this metropolis. This is the true attractiveness of Tokyo, mentioned by speakers in the event and video series. Looking at them, I feel that I myself have rediscovered Tokyo's attractiveness as well. How was Unleash Tokyo for you? For me, Unleash Tokyo gave me a chance to realize the power of diverse thinking. I think it is a time to unleash the true potential of this city, and at the same time, that may be the case with me if I have hidden attractiveness as well. If you are able to find Tokyo's attractiveness at any level, please feel free to contact and access the Tokyo office closest to you. In addition, you can find our support services on the InvestTokyo website. Furthermore, InvestTokyo's YouTube will upload an archive of this event. If you missed some of the events, please find our channel. I believe that everyone is facing difficulties in the COVID-19 situation. However, there is no night without dawn, and vaccines have started spreading around the globe. In Tokyo, we have also been making various preparations to welcome you to Tokyo with safety and comfort. In Tokyo, it is almost the season for cherry blossoms. As such, I assure you that Tokyo will do our best to support your business expansion so that your businesses will be full blossom. Once again, I thank you for your participation. We look forward to seeing you again, hopefully in Tokyo. And next time, I hope you can share your point of view of Tokyo's true attractiveness. Please stay safe.
If you would like to know more about business in Tokyo and have any questions, please contact Access to Tokyo members near your location. Access to Tokyo is one of the InvestTokyo initiatives of Tokyo Metropolitan Government for promoting Tokyo as the world's leading business city. Access to Tokyo is located in Singapore, San Francisco, Paris, and London. Try typing in Access to Tokyo in InvestTokyo's website's FAQ chatbot for contact information. The InvestTokyo website now has a chatbot available to improve your InvestTokyo experience. The chatbot offers 24/7 support and quick answers to your questions regarding Tokyo's support programs, business programs, and more. Try typing in "Why Tokyo" to start the conversation. Thank you for watching the Unleash Tokyo online event. Please give us your feedback of the event from the survey link in the description box. There is a free download of Tokyo's latest market and trend report available at the end of the survey. We look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for your honest feedback.